She got the invitation. White envelope, gold cursive. A date she'd been dreading since the divorce papers were filed. It was her ex-husband's wedding, her children's father, and the man who, not long ago, forced her into silence, isolation, and invisibility. But the real surprise? It wasn't the invitation. It was who showed up for her that day. Because while her kids were getting dressed to attend their father's second wedding, she was sitting in a quiet apartment, alone, until we knocked on her door. Let me rewind. My son married too young. I told him that, calmly, firmly, more than once. He was 19, still wet behind the ears, just barely out of high school, 3 states away from home. He met a girl, fell hard, and decided to drop out of college. She did too. They moved back to our town, and by 20, they were parents to a beautiful baby girl. I remember the day I held my granddaughter in my arms for the first time. She had her mother's quiet eyes, that kind of silent strength you only recognize when you've lived long enough to miss it. 16 months later, they had a second child, a boy. But something wasn't right. After the birth of their daughter, my wife and I started noticing subtle changes. Our daughter-in-law, let's call her E, began to dim. Like the light behind her eyes was fading. We suspected postpartum depression, maybe the overwhelming fatigue of raising a baby without much help. But it got worse after the second. Eventually, the marriage cracked. And when it did, E started visiting more often, bringing the kids to our house. That's when the truth began to surface. Quietly, painfully, like bruises forming beneath the skin. She confided in us, not with rage, not with bitterness, just with exhaustion. Her voice trembling with every word, like she wasn't even sure if she deserved to speak. I listened, and I believed her. Because I know my son. When I confronted him, gently at first, more firmly as time went on, he brushed it off, said she was the problem, that she was lazy, ungrateful, that she didn't try hard enough. I asked him about the things she told us, about controlling her, denying her the right to work, tracking her every move, isolating her from friends and family. He refused to take responsibility. He painted himself as the victim every time. But I saw through the excuses. I knew who he was when no one else was watching. They tried counseling. For a while, it held the illusion together, but it didn't last. Eventually, E filed for divorce. 3 days later, my son posted a photo on Facebook with a new woman, captioned, "New beginnings." A month later, they were engaged, just like that. But there was more. During their marriage, he made E a stay-at-home mom, said it was for the good of the kids. But really, it stripped her of independence. She had no friends in town, no family, and when the marriage ended, she had nowhere to go. 2 kids, no job, no support, just silence. My wife and I didn't hesitate. Behind our son's back, we helped her find an apartment, paid the deposit, bought groceries, covered daycare when she had interviews. We didn't do it out of guilt. We did it because she was the mother of our grandchildren, and because we saw her drowning, and no one else was throwing her a rope. Then, the wedding invitation arrived. I didn't want to open it. My hands shook when I pulled the card out. Their names, the date, February 11th, formal attire. No mention of the children's mother? Of course not. I made my decision immediately. I wasn't going. I told my son directly, respectfully, but firmly. I didn't support this new relationship, not because she was a bad person, but because my son had never done the work, never apologized, never changed. he just replaced. He didn't take it well. My wife, on the other hand, begged me to reconsider, said I should go to keep the peace, show face, pretend for one afternoon that everything was okay. I told her I couldn't. That silence, sometimes, isn't peace. It's complicity. Our daughter refused to attend as well. She told her brother plainly, "I can't celebrate this until you acknowledge what you did to your first wife." But my wife went. She picked up our grandkids, dressed them in little suits and lace, and brought them to their father's wedding. That night, as music played and champagne glasses clinked in a decorated hall across town, my daughter and I stood in the cold February night and knocked on E's door. She opened it, confused. Her eyes were already red. She wasn't expecting company. We told her we weren't attending the wedding, that we wanted to be with her, that she mattered. She cried, not from sadness, from shock, from the realization that someone, anyone, had chosen her on a night when everything in her life told her she'd been replaced. We took her out, got dinner, laughed a little. My daughter joked that they could finally drop the in-law title, just sisters now. She smiled through tears. It was small, but it meant something. The next morning, my phone rang. It was my son. He was livid, told me I was a horrible father, said I had betrayed him, that choosing to spend his wedding night with his ex-wife was unforgivable. A line had been crossed. A few days later, he followed up with a message. He'd seen the Reddit post I made, screenshots of my words, sent to his mother. His message read, "He's dead to me now." Those words should have cut deeper than they did. But I didn't feel death. I felt grief, yes, but not for me, for him, because he doesn't understand what love actually is. He thinks it's loyalty without conditions, applause without accountability. He thinks love is something you earn by obedience and lose when someone finally holds up a mirror. He told me I'd need to earn a relationship with him, on his terms only, as if relationships are contracts with one-sided clauses. As if a father who spent years raising a boy into a man should now beg for scraps of connection from someone who hasn't even begun to learn what being a man means. He's not ready to see it. That's okay. Time has a way of revealing the truth, especially when you've buried it beneath pride. My wife, for what it's worth, has since told him, "Your children must be our number one priority." And they are. They always will be. They are not collateral damage. They are not baggage from a failed chapter. They are human beings who deserve stability, love, and honesty. Maybe one day he'll understand that. Maybe not. But I know this. On that cold February night, when a woman sat alone in a small apartment, heartbroken and forgotten, we showed up. Not for revenge, not for drama, but because doing the right thing still matters, even when it costs you something. So, am I the asshole? Or did I simply refuse to celebrate the burial of accountability with a white cake and a rented tux? You tell me. Some stories don't need a twist. They just need the truth. This wasn't a tale of betrayal. It was a story about choosing principle over peacekeeping, about what it means to be a parent after your kids are grown, about how love, real love, sometimes means standing against your own blood when they've stopped acting like family. To the fathers and mothers listening, you raised them, but you don't owe them silence. You owe them example. To the sons and daughters, if your parents held you accountable, they weren't failing you. They were loving you the hard way. And to anyone who's ever sat alone on the night your world moved on without you. May you have someone like this father and this daughter show up at your door, because sometimes choosing the right person isn't about who shares your DNA. It's about who shares your values when no one else does. If this story moved you, we want to hear from you. Comment below. Was he the asshole or the only one who dared to care? This is AITA Story Vault. Thanks for listening. And remember, the truth doesn't always come dressed for a wedding, but it always shows up.